Welcome back. We're discussing Iran's relations with America and also its political maneuvering during Israel's recent attacks on Gaza. Joining us is Martin Indyk, the former U.S. ambassador to Israel. Mr. Indyk is director of the Saban Center for Middle East Policy at the Brookings Institute and author of Innocent Abroad, an intimate account of American diplomacy in the Middle East. And with us from Beirut is Amal Saad-Ghorayeb from the Lebanese American University. Now, during the break, we took a poll in our live station chat room. We asked, does Iran have the right to pursue its nuclear program? And this is how viewers in the chat room responded. 77% said yes, Iran should be allowed to develop its nuclear program, while 23% said no. Ambassador, in terms of the change in administration and its attitude towards the Middle East, it was always sort of thought that the Bush administration was looking for regime change, for introducing democracy, according to American terms. How much is that going to be out of the Obama administration vocabulary?
What was most interesting about the president's statement today on the Palestinian issue was that there was simply no mention of the democracy or freedom agenda. All of the references, and I was listening for them because they're code words, were to peace, stability and security. And this, what struck me most about it was that it was like we were going back to the beginning of the Clinton years. Of course, I was there drafting those words for President Clinton, but they were essentially the same words. The commitment to peace, to seeking a comprehensive peace, and to the focus being on stability and peace rather than democracy promotion and regime change. And the word stability is in some ways even more of a counter, because you remember that Condoleezza Rice said specifically that stability brought us 9/11, and what we, a little bit of instability wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Well, how much can the clock be turned back, though? Because there's been 8 years of what seems to be a distancing between the United States and certainly the region, the Middle East region. How much can the Obama administration achieve, certainly, let's say, in 4 years, and secondly, in terms of the covering the ground that's been created?
Look, I think that it's not a question of turning back the clock. It's correcting course, in my view. It was a mistake for the Bush administration to walk away from the effort to achieve a lasting solution to the Palestinian problem. Even George W. Bush acknowledged that in his efforts in the last year to try to, through the Annapolis peace process, to try to reconstruct something. But it was so much more difficult after 7 years of disengagement and letting the parties fight it out. I mean, the destruction of confidence and trust, the incredible loss of life on the Palestinian side and on the Israeli side has just made it all that much more difficult. But there is now a new day dawning in terms of a real commitment from day one. That's what the president promised, and he's fulfilling his promise. He's going to send George Mitchell out. I think Mitchell will be out there this weekend.
Is he strong enough? Is he strong enough as a character?
Mitchell? Mm-hmm. Mitchell is a quiet-spoken man.
He's not the bulldog that Richard Holbrooke is.
No, but he is as tough as Holbrooke, and he has a quality in the Arab-Israeli arena that is very important. He's a fair person, in the sense that he's neither, he's neither pro-Israel nor pro-Palestinian. He's neutral, not even-handed, but neutral, and he's going to judge it fairly. And I think both sides respect him for that. He's a very accomplished politician. Let's remember he was majority leader in the Senate. Right. He was a very good deal maker. And in Northern Ireland, what he was most remembered for is his meticulous attention to the details, which I think, given the need to rebuild confidence, is going to be very important.
Unfortunately, he's coming into the Middle East at a time where there seems to be something of a scorched earth situation when it comes to Gaza. And I wonder if your view on what a lot of people are saying is that Israel's attack on Gaza was essentially a proxy war on Iran.
Well, it's interesting. Come back to the president's statement. Iran wasn't even mentioned today, which was kind of unusual. And there's no doubt that there are kind of three conflicts going on in the region at the moment. There's one, if you like, between the Arabs and the Iranians, competition that has a sectarian overlay of Sunnis versus Shias, but it's essentially a competition for influence in the Arab heartland between the main Arab states and the Iranians. There's this conflict between Israel and the Palestinians that manifests itself in the Gaza crisis, and there's this conflict between Hamas and Fatah, within the Palestinians. And each of these conflicts are playing in on each other. And so the Iranians are using Hamas to promote their interest against the Arab states. The Arab states are against Hamas. They want Fatah to counter Iran and so on. And so, yes, the Israelis definitely see the Iranians as a problem, but the Israelis, interestingly, see also that they have a common interest with the Arab states now against Iran, and that may actually provide the glue for advancing the peace process.
Now, Amal, I know you believe that Iran was particularly careful when, in terms of getting involved with Hamas, with what was going on in Gaza. What do you think was the reasoning behind that?
I think the Iranians in the Gaza conflict behaved pretty much as they did back in July 2006 in the war against Hezbollah. It is not Iran's strategy to directly intervene in military conflicts. Even actually in 1982, when Israel first invaded Lebanon, Iran was contemplating sending out Revolutionary Guards to fight alongside the then incipient resistance, but then changed its mind. I think the Iranian strategy has always been of nurturing, helping resistance groups, native resistance groups with grassroots support to fight for themselves and only to provide financial, political and military backing. And this was its strategy in Gaza. Of course, with regards to Hamas, the situation was more sensitive because Hamas has been branded by so-called moderate Arab regimes as being an Iranian proxy, has been branded as a quote-unquote Shiite group by its rivals in Fatah. And hence I don't think Iran wanted to to feed into those sorts of accusations and hence kept a low profile. I don't think it had anything to do with sending out, feelers to the Obama administration. And as such, I think we should also look at Iran's strategy in this conflict, which was directed more really at Arab states. Egypt was targeted, Saudi Arabia was targeted in very explicit terms, which was an unprecedented step actually on the part of Iran, which has for many years been trying to re-cement ties with Arab states. And had been relatively successful in doing so. And then suddenly during the Gaza conflict, Egypt specifically was singled out as an Israeli ally. So I do think that Iran has invested quite a lot politically and made certain sacrifices on the part of the Palestinians. To say that it has kept a very low profile, I think is wrong. Okay. On the other hand, with regards to what Mr. Indyk was saying, if I may add, about how Arab regimes now have found common cause with Israel regarding Iran. I would say Arab regimes have also now found common cause and made it very overt as well with regards to resistance. Arab regimes like Egypt and Saudi Arabia specifically clearly now do not use the word resistance in their political lexicon and in fact have firmly stood by Israel in this current conflict. In a manner that we did not even witness during the July war. Okay. So Arabs now have basically rallied behind Israel and the United States in their conflict, not only against Iran, but against resistance movements in the region, be they Sunni or Shiite.
Okay, 30 seconds to go, Ambassador, and I wonder, will the whole issue of the nuclear aspirations of Iran come up when it comes to engaging, or can they be dealt with? It
will be, because the perception in Washington is that Iran's nuclear program, the clock is ticking on it, and by the end of this year, it may well have the capabilities to make a nuclear weapon. And so there's a lot of pressure here felt to try to engage, to line up the international community behind an effort to persuade Iran that if it wants nuclear program for peaceful purposes, it's welcome. But if it wants the capability to build a bomb, that's what President Obama has said is a game changer, which he can't accept.
Okay, well, Ambassador and Amal, I want to thank you both for joining us here with your thoughts. And thank you for being with us. On the next show, I'll be speaking with a man believed by many to have one of the world's most brilliant minds. From Cambridge in the UK, I'll be talking with renowned physicist and cosmologist Stephen Hawking. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.